possible to pump up is possible.
Oh yeah, yes, you're right.
Yes. Well, let me call Lebu on the side and see what's happening. I'll just
No, she's back online.
She's back. Let me give her hosting.
Do you know what
No, you don't have to run. You don't have to run. Carry on.
Guys, I ran out of space. So the thing just switched off the thing because it was alerting me that it is no longer recording. So I needed to free some space. Okay, I'm back online. Ntambo, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I heard what you were saying. So what I wanted to say, which was very critical for everyone to note, is that the reason why I keep saying to everyone that information that we need is in textbooks, it's in standards, it's in... Do you see how somebody had already accommodated the sewage line that, you know, like somebody who put up an estate as an example, is conscious of the fact that a power line needs to come, a water pipe needs to come, a sewage pipe needs to come, telephone line needs to come. So what do? So as part of the standard, right, they will already accommodate those things in advance. So what has happened in your case is that somebody did a lot of engineering judgment in advance for you. But I am saying that, okay, there is no harm for the other guys here on the meeting to be conscious of the fact that when they are doing their projects, the reason why I keep saying it is not possible to finish a project as a single discipline or as an individual is because you need multidisciplinary inputs. And one of them in this case being the fact that if the standard didn't take care of that in advance, he would have probably needed to consult someone from ESCOM or from eThekwini Power. I don't know if they call it eThekwini Power or eThekwini, to like advise on distances that he needs to keep away from the power line. But in this case, guys, this is why standards are very important to comply to, because they already take care of those things for you. But at the time that I got cut off, I know Ntambo was saying that the constructability of the project now became more complex. Why? Because he needed to now consider things like a crane might not work because there's power lines that are low. Yes, let's go.
It's certain part of the farms that they will have.
Kamogelo, you need to, can you come closer to the speaker, please? Kamogelo?
Yes.
I see you. Do you want to ask a question? I see your circle is orange. You want to ask a question?
No. I don't know.
Oh, are you good? Okay. Guys, why are your cameras off? Like, you guys are not good. Like, come on. Like, I've been wanting to see Vuisani. And her camera's off. Okay, I see something in the chat. Can we meet? Okay, guys. Okay, let's not lose focus now. So, guys, can I just check? We are still on that comment. Is everyone happy? When we are talking about that particular comment, is everyone satisfied on how to address that comment that I made to the camera?
I have a question, Simply.
Yes, please come close to your mic, just so that we can all hear you nicely.
My question is, if you don't have special, if you don't have to change your design, is it sufficient that you considered the servitude? That you said, okay, I don't need to do special things because the line is this height. So if you can just say you considered it rather than it affecting your design.
My friend, thank you for that question. It is a very important question, and that's what I was actually alluding to. So I was saying to Untembo, but in his project, he was fortunate that people who are doing, I want to call them estates, like normally people who are building estates, they have on site an electrical engineer, a civil engineer. So these people in advance, you know, they look out for that. They say automatically, if you're putting up houses, you're going to need power line, you're going to need. So for you, you must in fact make the reader understand that you are aware that these things impact your design, then if there is nothing additional that you need to do to mitigate a risk in your particular design, you need to just say to the reader, as part of city power, the standards already accommodates power line sewage in one. So I'm talking now in terms of maybe clearances as an example. For example, you'll see at city power, if you are building, if you are putting up I think it's a new power line or so, they have such profound restrictions. They tell you you cannot have this and that. But when you actually sit down and think about it, it all boils down to constructability. They like in advance preempt the fact that if you put a power line too close to a water pipe, this and that and that and that, and this is beautiful. So I'm saying to you guys, you have to say to the reader, the reason I am moving away or the reason I am selecting option B is because option 1 is too close to the electrical power line and there's no way that people can use cranes to dig up the foundation. So yes, to answer you directly, ma'am, you must actually mention it. It is good to mention this. So let's take a step back. Remember, we are talking about the engineering report, right? So if mitigating those things or moving your infrastructure to accommodate that requirement was not your particular contribution, right? You can leave that information in the TERs. Because remember, TERs are about everything that you've learned. So in your case, you would have learned at some point that when I put up a power line, I need to be conscious of telephone lines that are around the water pipes. So in this case, if you are not the one who's particularly responsible for mitigating that risk, you can leave it in your TR, but you must mention that you have learned it. But because now we are talking about the engineering report, remember in the engineering report, everything you write is everything that you are responsible for. So then in this case, I would say to you, because you are not the one particularly doing it, you can leave it in the TR. So it is good to make someone understand that you are conscious of these things, but because you are not the one responsible for them, it is something that you have learned and it is something that you take care of in the design. So it is only in your ER, you add it if you are doing it. Like for example, when I do my designs, I decide, okay, if I want to use a particular structure, I need to be 60 meters. If I use a particular structure, I need to be 40 meters. So if you are not the one making that decision, then it's fine. Just leave it in your TERs, because remember, the assessor is going to read everything. But if you are the one making the decision, you must put it in the ER and say, due to the fact that a crane cannot reach its height if there's a power line close to my construction site, I moved the servitude maybe like 5-10 meters away. So my point to you is you must put it in your report, but where you put it in your report depends on who is making the decisions. Are you happy with that?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Guys, let me just touch this before I take a question from, I think there's Galaxy S9. Yeah, oh, he lowered his hand. The reason I'm emphasizing this, guys, is because remember we spoke about the guideline on how many words you need to have in a report. The reason they have that guideline is because they do not want to put information where you are not the responsible engineer. So if you are not the responsible engineer, don't put it in the ER. The ER is a place where they want to know the most complex work that you did where you were responsible. Donald?
Lebo, hi, Lebo.
Yes.
Thank you very much for noticing my hand. Sorry, not to go back, but maybe just to paint a sort of a slightly different frame of mind here.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is not going to take us off track. But I came across something very interesting here in terms of what's considered, let's say, engineering problem solving.
Okay.
Right? I think they've made provision for design type of engineering solutions as one of them.
Yeah.
But also with that, you have something like process improvement, right? So I just want to maybe if you can touch on that to say yes, seemingly we've dwelt quite significantly on the design type of engineering solutions, right? On process improvement type of engineering solutions. Maybe you can touch on those typical examples of that and how do we differentiate between the two then?
Yeah. So actually, so that one, thank you for that question, Donald. It is quite a very good question to talk about, because I know a lot of people who are not registered because they have in advance said, I don't do designs, so I can't get registered. No, you know, I think to be fair, the old policies and the old registration documentation, whenever they spoke about outcome 2, which is like problem solution, remember in the legacy system, there was no outcomes. It was just general requirements. Whenever they spoke about problem solution, they always said design. So people then felt, if I don't design something, so remember design as related to putting something new, building a new plant, extending an existing plant. You know, it's all wonderful. Yes, when you get to design something, it is great. But let me tell you why the example that you just brought on is very much equivalent, if it's not more complex. When you are improving a system, when you are upgrading a system, when you are updating a system, what happens there, Donald? I want you to think about it.
Because I say,
how are you going to upgrade? How are you going to improve the process? How are you going to replace an old instrument that is dead and it's obsolete, it's no longer available? You need to replace it with a like-for-like instrument. Do you understand what I'm saying? So even if you are like doing a process improvement, you are doing an uprating of a plant, you are doing an upgrading of a plant, you still need to know how the plant was designed. So that's why they moved away from they moved away from using the word design and they started using the word problem solution. So now they call it an engineering problem. They don't call it a design. In fact, I was looking at this document that talks about the identification of work. And in there, they still talk about design. Design is not correct. It is solving an engineering problem. So an engineering problem can be, so I want to even take this thing far because I feel like, I don't know, yeah, you know, even people that are working in operating, like the environment where they're doing operating, there is still room to have a complex problem because I'll make you an example. If you're working, I used to work in a plant. I used to work in a wholesome plant. They make cement. And productivity was everything. Like a day, we had to produce so much cement. Well, I'm making an example. So when something breaks down in the plant, my friend, there is nothing you are going to do to solve that problem until you know how the plant operates, until you know how that component operates. So my point to you is this: to improve efficiency in a plant, to increase reliability, to optimize anything, you need to know firstly how it functions. Does that answer you? So guys, I want you to scrap the word design. One of my missions at EXA is we have scrapped the word design. We are now using complex engineering problems. Problem is the key word. There is a problem. I'm trying to push so much water through this pipe. I'm only getting half the volume. What is the problem? So in this case, you will not be designing a new pipe, but you will be investigating how the pipe was designed and what could be the possible current causes of why the flow is not adequate. I think you're happy.
Well, I think you just decided I am.
No, you must tell me because it's very important that, Donald, don't laugh at me. It's very important, Donald, for you to understand that, right?
Yeah.
You cannot solve a problem. No, you need to hear me.
Yes.
Because people are saying this. Let me make you a very good example that's going to help you a little bit further. we have people who are registered as professional engineers, but they work at the power station. Now, whenever you interview somebody who works in a power station, we know very well that in South Africa, we do not have the competency to design a power station. All we do in South Africa is we operate and we maintain a power station. Am I lying?
Well, I haven't been in that space, but I'll take your word for it.
Yes. So what happens there is every time something breaks down in the power station, every time the efficiency breaks, some engineer needs to investigate. And let me tell you, unfortunately, for you to get to the root cause of the problem, you need to know how the plant was designed. So you may not design the plant from A to Z, but if you are a turbine engineer and there's a problem in the turbine, you need to know that turbine was designed to do 1, it is doing C, and you want it to do X. That's it. It is designed to do A, it is currently doing D. Now that's where the problem is. It's doing D. Sometimes you want it to go back to A, sometimes you want it to do better than A. That's why my example was upgrading, uprating, replacement. A good example is the plant is 30 years old, the instrument that was used there is obsolete, they no longer manufacture that, and you need to replace the instrument with like something similar to it. How are you going to choose a similar instrument if you do not know how the original instrument was selected, at least if you do not know the function that that instrument was supposed to perform in the plant?
Okay. No, I'm happy. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So guys, I had to actually, I'm going to just go to page 2. I want to see if we've got any hands. Guys, are we happy with that one? We needed to pause on that one because that one is a really critical hold point for all of us to be conscious of. I'm saying to you, the minute you are placing your infrastructure, the minute you are, there has to be some difficulty, there has to be some challenge, there has to be some risk, there has to be some impact. Then I'm saying to you, secondly, the standards are going to tell you how to do this safely. So guys, don't forget to look at the standard to see, okay, there's 2 hands that are raised. Just need to find them. Okay, I see there are 2. Motaung, is your hand up for real?
Yes, it is.
Okay, let's take your question then.
Okay, all right. Maybe I'm not sure if it will take us, a little bit out, but anyway, I think it is still on point.
Yeah.
One of what you said is to stick to what your field of competence.
Yeah.
That's what you highlighted on that. I remember earlier. Sticking to your field of competence.
Yes.
Yes, you highlighted on that one. Now, the question that I have is, when I did my master's, I think 80% of what I have done was mechanical, even though I major, in electrical. But it was more like 80%. It was more on mechanical.
But why are you in the dark? Hi, my friend.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm just hiding here. I'm hiding because the kids, everything. So I'm hiding. Okay, let me.
Okay. No, that's fine. Okay. Yes, I hear you. Yeah.
Can you see me now? Better.
Yes, we can see.
Now I can see you. Yeah, so you are still, no, finish that question. Actually, in fact, that question is very important, sir. So I'll allow you to finish it before I address it.
Yes. When I was doing my master's, like 80% of my work was on mechanical. So I want to register as a professional. Now, what am I supposed to also add that mechanical work that I have done? Will it be relevant for me to add?
Okay. Motaung.
Hello, Simply.
Thank you for that question, sir. So, you know, this question is very important, né? And let me answer you directly because we still have a lot of comments to address in that report that are very, like, I feel like are very important. Number one, the code of conduct says, Mutaung, area of competence, the first thing that you are needing for an area of competence is the education. So to answer you directly, if you go and get yourself a qualification in mechanical stuff, you are more than welcome to register as a mechanical someone. If you are registering as an electrical engineer, I am sorry to tell you this, sir, you cannot, you can add your mechanical experience. It will just make you a very well-versed electrical engineer who knows how to consider mechanical aspects. But in terms of your registration, in terms of applying your engineering judgment in a sound manner when doing design, the mechanical experience is not going to add anything for you. I've had a case where in fact, I got an application and I believe at this point, that's when I stopped doing interviews because it was just a lot. This guy, he's got a mechanical qualification and he's doing electrical work. So he came to EXA to be registered in the electrical category. You cannot do it, sir. It is illegal.
Okay.
Now, let me also tell you this, Mutaung. As much as you do mechanical work, you cannot be the responsible person, meaning to say you cannot be the one taking the final decision. You cannot do it, sir. You can advise, because I work with power lines, I've been seeing foundations for years, I've been seeing different types of structures. When I review documents, I'm very much capable of saying, no. I have gone to Mpumalanga. I know most of the area there is wetland. Therefore, foundation type 1 is not going to work. I'm making you an example. You can advise on mechanical aspects. You cannot make decisions on mechanical aspects. Then I want to also say this before we move off the topic. I also need to say this, guys. When you are electrical, guys, this is very important for you to listen and hear me properly, né? When you have an electrical qualification, you can get it, for example, you can study high voltage. Like, I actually did computer science when I was studying back in my days, but when I started working, I worked with high voltage stuff. Guys, you can do anything in electrical. You can move from being a software engineer to being a high voltage engineer. The only thing that the law says to you is you need to be competent first. And Mutaung, nobody can tell you if you are competent or you are not competent. Only you know when you are competent. Only you know if you are not competent. So I am saying to you that when you are building your competence, it is firstly the foundation. So we're making a pizza here. The foundation of the pizza is the base. Then on top, we are putting, Lebo can design power lines, Lebo can design cell phone towers, Lebo can design substations. Guys, I want you to know that when EXA registers you now, they just say PReng. They don't even say PReng electrical. They don't say PReng electrical power lines. So you can do anything that is under electrical. We had another hand, Bongani. Where's Bongani? Bongani? Oh, there is Bongani. Bongani?
Hi, Simply, can you hear me?
Yes, I see your hand. So let's take your question, Bongani.
Okay, quickly. I think my question is almost as Donald, but I think I had a problem with my reception while you were answering him.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes. But let me apologize if you did answer that, but I think I missed the part where you actually, first, actually my question is with regards to design. I did submit an exercise to me that I everything was fine, wara wara, but I actually just needed to do design. I'm in construction, but there's no design in my field. But I think I heard you a little towards the end where you were saying if you are solving engineering problems, you have to investigate and that part. I just don't want to waste your time, this one, but I just want to know if actually you were answering me as well, or
okay. No, so okay, all right. So this is a very good question for me to ask you. Was this registration done in the legacy system, or was this in NRS? When you got deferred, were you deferred or were you put in abeyance?
Oh, I don't understand. Like I don't.
Okay, so in the old system, meaning the legacy system, which is the system that I registered in, because as you can see, I'm a dinosaur, right? I've been registered since 2008. So in the old system, I'm expecting you to get an explanation like that where they say you haven't done design. But if you registered using NRS, which is the new registration system, I am not expecting you to have a problem like that, because in NRS, design is one of the examples that define a complex engineering problem. It is not the only example that you can do. This is something that a lot of people fail to understand. If you are building a brand new plant, it is actually easier than you extending an existing plant. Do you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, because an existing plant needs you to first investigate how was the plant built? What is the plant doing now? Guys, please pay attention to those 3 scenarios. Guys, sorry, I don't mean to scare you with my nails, but I have to use the example. Guys, when you are extending an existing plant, the problem is more complex. Why? When you design a new plant, it's very easy. You know what it is supposed to do now and you accommodate the future, isn't it? So it's very easy to design a new plant. When you are trying to upgrade, or when you are trying to upgrade, or when you are trying to refurbish an existing plant, or you are trying to extend an existing plant, guys, the problem is this. It is more complex simply because you need to investigate. Firstly, guys, the first thing you need to investigate, what was the plant designed to do? So this is your S-build, right? The second scenario, what is the plant doing now? The plant will never do what it was. If it's 10 years old, it will never perform the same as what it was built. Then the third scenario is, what do you want to do? What do you want that plant to do? So if you're operating, you want your power line to push more power, you want your station to produce more crushed coal. So it is more complex because firstly, you need to know what was the plant designed to do? What is it doing now? What do I want it to do? What do I need to do to move it from what it was designed to do, what it is doing now, to what I want it to be? So it needs to move from what it is doing now to your desired destination. So to answer you, say, when you are investigating, or when you are replacing, when you are enhancing, when you are improving efficiency, when you are improving reliability, when you are optimizing a process, a plant, a system, you firstly need to know, how does that system work? So to answer you briefly, you will never do anything until you know what the system does. So basically, my then conclusion to the letter that EXA sent you, where they said you didn't show outcome 1 properly, the only conclusion I can draw there is that what you had written on paper was not adequate. However, when you are in the NRS, they will call you for an EIA. So at EIA, what do? You get an opportunity to explain yourself. Did they call you to EIA, sir?
EA.
Yeah, EA, experience appraisal. Did
Oh,
they
yes.
call you?
Yes, yes. I was called. We did it actually via what you call this kind of Zoom type of meetings.
Okay.
But yes, but they discovered that I have more knowledge than what I actually put down on the. But the problem was that the report that I've sent to them with regards to that particular outcome was not enough according to them. So I haven't had the courage to actually complete the design, because actually what's happening is I personally don't like working for consulting companies, and for obvious reasons. So I haven't found myself in that field. So it's been so long that I actually wanted to do design.
Yeah.
But I think I have to take it up with EXA with regards to because what you're saying right now is actually what I do every day, trying to, investigate and solve problems and propose and get them approved. It's okay.
My brother. Sorry. Hey, you see this call is very busy. My brother, can I just say something?
Yes.
Can I say something? Oh, rather,
yes.
Can I ask you something before I say something more?
Yes, yes.
So you went for the EA, ne? Experience appraisal interview, ne?
Yes.
Then what happened after that?
They discovered, they told me that from what I had written, and when they spoke to me, they discovered that I do have a lot of experience, but I don't have design experience in my report. Because I did not do any design, honestly. So I didn't lie or anything,
Yeah.
So I just explained to them a couple of back during my experiential training. I did some small stormwater design.
Yeah.
And yes, I just illustrated how I did the design back then using rational methods and all that, up to pipe sizes, but they didn't accept it.
Yeah.
So
I was trying to extend my meeting here. Guys, I'm looking at the time, and I actually bought the license so we can go longer. So I'm hoping this thing won't cut us, Anyways, but my brother, I think I wanted to say to you very quickly that it sounds to me like you actually did complex engineering problems. So a design is not supposed to be something that would disqualify you. That's why I was asking, which system did you actually register in? Was it NRS or was it the Legacy? How long ago was that? Because Legacy was introduced in 2017.
I wouldn't know, my sister.
I think you were in the Legacy system, that's why. No, it's fine. I think you have a better understanding now of
yes, I
what
do
it
now.
is. Yes, so now you will actually be able to respond adequately to that. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I need to I don't know how to open this meeting. This is just so crazy. Okay, I've got a hand from Tebogo. Yeah, Tebogo.
It's actually, hi. It's actually Kenneth.
Kenneth, are you using your wife's phone?
Yes. I had to make a plan because I am always struggling with connectivity and connections and all of that. So I made a plan today.
Welcome.
Thanks for the presentation, Lebo. Quick, I just want to add on to what, maybe it's more for comment more than anything else, not to waste more time. I just wanted to find out if Bongani's case, is he mechanical? What discipline is he? That's number one. Number two, I just want to emphasize that, so that we are, at least all of us are aligned, and now I want to be explicit. For the mechanical discipline, however, it still remains design focused and orientated.
Oh,
so,
yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's still a lot of talks about it. But if you're mechanical, for whoever in the participants that are there, just take into cognizance that unfortunately for the design discipline, for the mechanical discipline, design is still key. You still have to demonstrate your capability and ability to do design specifically, even in doing problem solving. So it's more for comment, not a question at the moment.
Okay, Kenneth, I'm going to come in there and ask a very brief question. So I want to take an example from my workplace. Normally what happens is that we've got structures that were designed like 20 years ago. And then, for example, a truck drives into a power line and then we need to replace broken members. I'm just making an example. Now, you will find that our mechanical guys need to go redesign that existing structure.
Yes.
Would that be adequate? Because that is part of refurbishment, because you are trying to restore a design that was done 10 years ago, but there's no documentation on it. So you kind of redo it with the interest of correcting the current incident. Would that be adequate?
Yeah. No, it will be adequate. It will definitely adequate, because what they want to see, what is key for mechanical, I must say, is that they want to see your thought process in terms of input and output. So in every problem that you're solving, they want to see that you have a full appreciation of the inputs that goes into you developing a solution. And normally solutions, in our case, are strongly orientated around developing design drawings. There must be some form of output. So you can solve whatever problem. If you can't show them you've got a tangible output, meaning that the problem was solved conclusively. I developed a drawing, or I went to site and as per my recommendations, I inspected, it was done accordingly, then you're going to have a problem. So they want to see the full cycle of design in mechanical discipline. But for the other disciplines, it's problem solving is sufficient and it should be fine.
Yeah, that is very helpful. It's so interesting because mechanical never used to have special requirements, but suddenly they decided to add.
It used to be civil.
It's crazy because we spent like years fighting for the civil requirements to fall.
It was the civil requirements that were special. Now they took those special requirements
to mechanical,
which I don't understand why, but it is what it is, and you have to just go through the pain, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I think we are happy with that response. Let's just quickly go back. Okay, guys, let me just make this announcement so that this thing doesn't hijack us. I see there's like 22 minutes left, but I don't think it will cut us off. I hope it won't cut us off because I put 2.5 hours thinking we'll take 2 hours. Just stay on the line. I don't know if it cuts us off, we can just rejoin the meeting. That's what Sizwe told me. So we can all just rejoin the meeting. I do believe that we need to finish the comments because then we're going to have, next week we can have a look at the final report. So we're going to look at version 1 of the report versus the final version after all our hard work. Donald?
Hi, Lebo. Just the last one from me. I seem to have a lot of questions.
Doesn't have to be the last one, please.
Well, I need to spare some time for other questions for other candidates.
Yeah.
I can't be greedy, obviously,
Yeah.
On the I'm just now thinking retrospect, on the impacts and maybe risk sort of appreciation, is it all the time that the impacts and risks, or let me actually say specifically on the impacts, have to be directly related to the specific engineering solution that you are providing, or they can actually be consequential, meaning in the absence of that solution, these are the possible impacts that can result. So question is, do those impacts have to be directly due to the solution that you are proposing or putting on the table, or they can be consequential, meaning in the absence of that solution, these are the possible outcomes or negative impacts of that solution not being in place.
Thank you for that, Ned Donald. If you recall, earlier we were looking at, I think it was comment number, just give me a second, I'm gonna try and open it. You can, when recording the meeting, okay, wait. I wanted to open the share screen. Where were we on our, oh God, I'm trying to, oh, there it is. I found it. Oh, okay, there it's back. Remember what the candidate did here? He gave us a do nothing. First option is do nothing. You see it?
Okay.
Oh, okay, it doesn't highlight it now because I've got a comment there. He gave us a, let me just delete the comment. I'm gonna delete this comment quickly. He gave us this first option, it was do nothing. Look what he did. He gave us the impacts and the risks for not doing anything. Do you see it?
Okay.
So you must, actually you must. Guys, let me say this. I want you to include all the impacts. I'm gonna make you a loose impact. Ne? Sometimes when we design our power lines, everything is going perfectly. We get the servitude, the landowner is okay with us to put the, guess what? Then we have problems like you putting the power line in Soweto, the community is the one that is a risk. So there's no risk in terms of actually doing your design. The risk is more from the community where you are putting up the design because they are saying, we also want work. So Donald, to answer you briefly, you must include all risks and all impacts. The direct one, the indirect one, the ones that are a consequence of something that is part of the project. So in fact, you will notice that your impacts, most of the time, your impacts are not even engineering related. Have you noticed? Mostly they are environmental, they are social, they are agricultural, they are, so most of the impact, you will see that the impact is, except construction, most of the impacts are actually in other disciplines, meaning to say environmental, safety. So definitely you must include everything, my friend. Everything.
Okay. No, that's okay. Why I'm asking this, because maybe I've come across instances where people are trying to crack their heads, trying to identify or almost manifest impacts which are not necessarily within whatever they're trying to address. But just to, in an attempt to address that aspect, they try and manifest the impacts which are not necessarily even there, you know?
I'm with you. No, I'm with you 100%. So in that case, actually, you will see even when you read outcome, I think it's outcome, guys, allow me to scroll back. This is all for our learning. Outcome 7, I think it's outcome 6. It says impact of engineering activity. Ne? That's how it's written. So Unsambo hasn't written the full thing, but it just says, I think it says impact of environment, and I don't remember what it says. But my point to you is that there will be impacts of your project. There will be impact that result from you putting new infrastructure. There will be impact of other infrastructure on your new infrastructure. You understand? There's a variety. So the impact is very diverse. Guys, you must include all of them. All. Are we happy? LM10 is just the same. Which TR is this from? And in this case, he actually forgot to mention which TR. Guys, I'm going to try and be fast. Okay, we spoke about terminology. Guys, all I wanted to say here, the candidate is talking about the diameter of the pipe, and then we talk about length. We don't say it is what long. We just talk about length. Guys, be careful of that, because I personally know of reviewers who are very fussy about language. Don't say the cable is injured. The cable is broken. Let's go to LM12. Do you encounter any challenges? So existing road within the property. Okay, so here what I was saying to the candidate, he said that as he was placing his pipe, along the existing road, okay, permission. He just had to get permission from the landowner. That's like literally all he mentioned. But what I could pick up when I was reading the report is that the ideal place for him to put his pipeline was parallel to the existing road for obvious reasons, because that's access and stuff. But now my question to him was, what challenges did he encounter as part of putting the existing road in place? As part of putting the pipeline close to the existing road. Guys, I'll make you an example. Sometimes some roads actually have that concrete runoff thing on the side that he might have needed to dismantle. Sometimes we've got 2-lane roads. I don't know, but all I was asking him here is, was there any other challenge that he encountered when he was positioning the pipe next to the existing road? Because the way he wrote it here, it looked like it was very straightforward. It's like, I wanted to put it next to the road. I put it next to the road. I didn't have any special challenges putting it next to the road. So I think all I was trying to do here, I was trying to find out from the candidates, was there actually any additional challenges that he faced? It doesn't mean he had it, he didn't have it. It's something for you guys to think about. We are saying, when you finalize something, always be conscious of the challenges that you faced. LM13 says, lovely, but okay, this is the same as the time we've spent on that other comment, né? Where I asked him, Guti, why didn't he mention the considerations of other impacts of the existing infrastructure? Guys, another critical thing that I mentioned here that I think you guys should be conscious of is future plans. A lot of people tend to look at things now. They'll think, look at things now. Don't do that. You must also consider what is coming up in the future. And I think a good period to look forward into is normally like 10 years if you are planning. If you are planning like things like a load, volume, and things like that. That's all I was saying there. Guys, this one is very important. I want to say this, and I want you to say it without taking any questions, né? If it's possible. So the candidate said to me, he used the department, the Human Settlement Department values to estimate the daily flow for the pipe that he was designing. Now, my question to him was that, how did he satisfy himself that that particular document was actually a reflection of what was happening in the area that he was designing in? Because it's not always obvious. Guys, there's a number of places where you can get information. Here I did put a couple of examples. You can actually look at the number of houses and what the houses are doing. There's stats essay, there's the population figure that is in the integrated development plan. So all I was saying to the candidate here is that, okay, he did use some value, but why was he happy that that value was a reflection of what is happening in his project? Guys, this is a real life problem, and people make this mistake all the time. You design for the now, and you forget about upgradability. You forget of what is coming up in 5 years' time. A typical example is me building a power line. I build it for the load, the current load now, but I am not aware that in 3 years' time, there's 2 mines that are coming up in that same area. So guys, all I'm trying to say here is, when you are doing estimations, especially that are related to the requirements in terms of flow, whether it's power, whether it's water, whether you have to consider future, what is coming in the future. And you have to actually go for options that accommodate the future now. Guys, just do it. I don't even wanna take questions from there. Okay, there's this, yeah. This one he already addressed, and Nzambo spoke about this one. He spoke about the peak flow graphs, and all I asked him there, where did he get it from? Was it from a standard? Was it from a paper he read? This is very critical. You can't just make state some assumption and not say where does it come from. Don't do it. Because now nothing in engineering is invented by us. Everything is clearly defined. And if you will see, all of these comments that follow about that, he said, the pipeline, he calculated the pipeline capacity at 60%. Why? That's what I'm asking him. Is that best practice? Why is he happy with 60%? I don't know. I want to know. Then this design flow. So what I'm trying to allude to there is, I was expecting him to say, currently we are expected to carry X, but due to some growth in the near future, X will be added, therefore I'm designing for X. Guys, be conscious of that. A good engineer does not design things for the now. You always have to consider what might happen in the near future. You don't want the client to come and say, oh my God, 2 years ago, I just put in this thing, it's already underrated. You don't want that. That's all the comment is. Let's go to the next. Yeah, you see how the candidate is actually doing the right things, but he's moving between right and wrong. Don't kill me, Nzambo. So in this particular case, he did actually mention where he got the value from. He used the velocity of that, and he mentioned where he took it from. This is beautiful because the people that are going to approve his designs are telling him this is how we want it. So this is how you are supposed to do your designs. Let me go. Okay, yeah, I said wonderful. Why? Because he said it couldn't be achieved. Guys, the important thing in this case is he explained what he did to overcome that challenge. You must always explain what it is that you do to overcome the challenge that you are facing. So in this case, well done, Nzambo. You did actually say what you are planning to do to mitigate the problem. LM20, guys, don't do this. A lot of people are doing this. I'm reviewing your reports. I'm having a headache because you are putting EWS, and then I'm sitting here saying, what is EWS? You know, can you, guys, the rule of thumb is that you need to define something before you use the acronym. So please define the stuff before you use it as an acronym. Guys, this one is very upsetting. I get very upset when I see this. Guys, please don't do this. I'm coming to the screen. Guys, please don't do this. Guys, I'm asking you so nicely, don't do it. Guys, this report is about what you have done. Look at LM21. LM21, I'm asking him. He says, it was found more suitable. Found suitable by who?
I found.
Huh? The report says the velocity of 0.55 meters per second was found to be more suitable. It was found by who?
By the writer.
So, should it not say, here I've highlighted it, I found it to be more suitable. I'm going to find Nzambo, and this one I'm going to give him a hiding. I never. Nzambo, I found it to be suitable. It was found to be suitable. Don't do it, guys. Guys, I've given you a golden rule. Everything you write in the ER has to be I did, I designed, I simulated, I evaluated. The minute it says they, just abort. Don't put it in the ER. Just leave it. It's not your business. The ER is about what have you done. Thank you, Nzambo. Are you happy, Nzambo? LM22. After LM22, I'm going to take any questions if we have any. Okay, LM23, you will see when he just put in the equation in Word, it just brought in a funny symbol there. So I think he just needs to check what the symbol, the original symbol was. I'm going to go back to LM22. So in LM22, I'm saying to him, he is listing everything that needs to be considered when he's positioning a pump station next to the sea, right? But what I'm saying to him is there is no benefit in listing these things just the way they are, because these things are known. It is theory in textbook. It is in papers. People have published a paper on each of these little aspects that he's mentioning. What is good to do here is to address outcome 9. You need to just tell the reader, when I was, okay, I am aware that to place a pipeline in the coast, these are the things to consider. But what is more critical is to tell the reader what modifications, what additional safety factor did you need to bring into your design to mitigate the prevailing conditions. Guys, when I say prevailing conditions, I am alluding to the fact that Nzambo said this. If you are putting a power line in Japan, there's ice, there's, I think in their winter they have snow, they have earthquakes, they have tsunamis. Those prevailing conditions are not the same as South Africa. So what I am saying is, okay, sharp, these are design considerations, but what difficulties did you encounter in your project to implement these considerations? And by the way, the considerations are always supposed to be linked to outcome 3 and outcome 7. Because outcome 3 and 7, it's the theory in the textbook that tell you how to do the thing. And outcome 7 is the theory in the particular area that you are implementing the project. So all I was saying to him is, it's good that the reader is aware that you are aware of geotechnical considerations. But while you were doing geotechnical matters, what in the geotechnical became a nightmare for you to do your project? Guys, I think you understand that. It is not good. It's the same as the question that we got earlier from the lady. She said, is it good to just mention something? Yes, it's good to put it in your report, but it is not good to put it in your TER, because TER is something that you are responsible for. So if you are not doing the thing yourself, or if you are not showing the reader how you apply judgment to overcome that finding, then I think just leave it in the TER, because the TER is there for reflecting the rest of your experience. LM24, this talks about risk and mitigation. I'm not even going to touch that. We've already spent a lot of time on that. I think what is fit to mention here is that when I read this report, I think outcome 1, so the candidate did outcome 2 perfectly. Like outcome 2, he killed it. But outcome 1, what he did was that very argument that we had on Sunday, where somebody said, there is a problem statement and then there is the engineering problem statement. The problem statement is just a simple one that says we need a sewage pipe here because we've got more houses. But the engineering one says because of the altitude, the elevation, because of the growth, because of the way we're going to put the pipeline is like this. That is an engineering problem statement. So here I just said in compliance with which standard. So the candidate did exactly what I gave you as a golden rule last week, where I said, assume nothing. Do not assume that the reader knows. Because I know he's probably saying the reader is a civil engineer, the reader knows what I'm talking about. Don't do it. Just tell him where the assumption comes from, guys. Please just do it. Tell him. Assume that he does not know nothing. This one, same thing. Assumption, where does it come from? Is it from outcome 3 or outcome 7? It has to be from one of those. It cannot come from you. If you are busy making assumptions or by yourself, guys, you are going to be in trouble. When the popo hits the fan, the least justification you need to have is this assumption is in the standard, so it was supposed to be safe. Guys, do you hear that? Whenever you are using assumptions, it needs to come from a standard. It needs to come from some document, some red book, some green book, so that when something hits the fan, it is not you who invented that thing. It is a tried and tested theory. Guys, please do it. LM29. So Nzamba said the geotechnical report stipulated that the ground, the water head was between 0.5 meters and 1 meter. I think all I asked him there, because I was a reader, remember, I was assessing the report as a reviewer. All I wanted to know is, why did he choose 0.5? Was that the worst case scenario? Because in engineering, definitely we are supposed to design for the worst case. So I'm saying to him here, there's also room for engineering judgment, where he can tell the reader why, between 0.5 and 1 meter, why did he choose the 1? That's engineering judgment, guys. Engineering judgment is not that complicated. It is just you justifying why you are happy with the decision that you've taken. Let me maybe pause here at LM30. I'm just gonna check if we've got any hands. Okay, what have I done here? I haven't opened this thing properly. Okay, I'm got, yeah. Ah, this thing, it's now doing funny things. I thought I had it figured out all this time. It's fine. Okay, do we have any questions? I think everyone is happy, ne? Yeah, the thing is my computer is not allowing me to see it the way I was seeing it before. Ish. Okay, let's take, we'll take your question, my sister. I think it's because I'm sharing something. I think that's why I can't see. Let me just collapse this for a while and see if I can. Yeah, we'll take that question. And then I can't even see where it's coming from. Yo, I swear this software. Okay, okay, who wants to ask the question? I cannot trace you looking at my screen because I thought I'll see the orange block around your name. Do we have somebody who wanted to ask a question? Okay, no, it looks like we don't have questions. Guys, let me just maybe make the comments on your book so that we open the discussion for all. Let's just look at LM. I think I was at LM 30. Okay, these assumptions, let's jump that. Here, guys, look at this. This is, guys, I'm warning you. Being used by who? Concrete being used. If you are not the person who selected the concrete, leave that concrete alone. Okay? Or you just say that concrete was specified before I got to the project. But if you're saying being used, this is not correct. You must say that I used or that I spec'd. And you will see later in the report, the candidate actually does elaborate on this, and then he understands why I had that comment. Okay, here, what do I say? Yes, so there, you see now he put a little bit about the density of the concrete, he put a little bit about the load, a loaded vehicle. So this is exactly why I was saying, spec'd by who? Because concrete, if you choose the modulus of elasticity for the concrete mix or whatever, you have to use some reasoning. And was it done by you or was it done by someone else? That's all I was alluding to there. Okay, here. Nzambo, please. All of this needs to come out of the report. These were used to determine. No, it is I used them to determine something. Lovely, you had quoted the standard. Okay, so this one was very interesting, guys. This one, I really like this. So as part of designing the slab, the roof slab and the base slab, the candidate used two methods. He used the software, which was like pro-con structural analysis, and then he still did it by hand, meaning first principles. Now, this was very good because normally the reason why people do first principles is because they want to satisfy themselves that what went into the software is correct, because garbage in, garbage out. So in this case, guys, please hear me to understand me. The reason why I found this very interesting is because in the ER report, you are now responsible, you are competent. So then my question became, why did he do it first principle? What was the thing that pushed him to do it first principle? Because this kind of sentence is something that I expect to see in TR 1, 2, 3, because when you start doing designs and you start using software, you definitely have to calculate things firsthand. You have to satisfy yourself that the answer that's coming out is correct. So in this case, look, I'm not a civil somebody, so there's probably some of the aspects that need to be done manually, meaning from first principle, and then they are put into the software. But in this case, I became curious that why did he become interested in doing it first principle? Because by the time you write the ER report, guys, your engineering judgment should be in place. That's it. You should know what should be coming out of the software. That's all I mean to say there. So here, guys, as you can see, a lot of places in the reports, there's a lot of were used, they decided. LM36 is the same. This is supposed to be I used, not were used. Were used by who? We don't do that. LM37, he gave some parameter for the cover. I'm saying to him, where does this dimension come from? It's not pulled out of anywhere. Guys, I'm telling you now, the code of conduct wants you to comply to standards and statutory requirements. Guys, please, when you are putting things like 50 millimeters, 70%, you need to specify where does that assumption come from. Don't just use an assumption without specifying where it comes from. Here is a beautiful comment. I think I said boss. Yeah, bosso means yeah, you killed this one. So when you look at his report, have a look at how he wrote that. It is a very interesting thing to share on writing. This is dangerous. Candidates, are you here? Mayday, candidate. We do not do this. After my supervisor, no. everything in the ER report, you are responsible. Guys, in the ER, it is a function, it is a duty it is an activity that you can perform by yourself without being supervised. So you have no right in terms of putting my supervisor.